Figures you jumped straight to that. Yes, there is a side to the business, and yes, a lucky man can make a small fortune down there. But competing is where the real money is, and there aren't any rules against betting on yourself either. So let me ask you again, are you interested? Interested in that kind of money? Absolutely. But as far as competing goes, I could never do that, or actually, yeah, let's do it, let's fight! Marcus does have a point. If I learned how to fight professionally, then proceeded to bet on myself, I could make a lot of money. It would also give me an outlet, somewhere to vent my frustration rather than on unexpected victims like Mordu. But that's the best case scenario. Realistically, I might not even land a hit on my opponent, let alone prove proficient enough to profit from a career in boxing. I could just end up broken and broke, worse off than ever. Maybe, but I'd rather find a more stable source of income. That's not what I chose. I said yes. Your loss. But if that's how you feel, then I suggest you set your sights on the man above the grandstand to your left. Despite our poor vantage point, I did as Marcus suggested and gazed towards the grandstand to the left of the boxing ring. Above the grandstand was a glass panel, a viewing booth, with a single shadow being cast from within. Behind that bulletproof glass is the owner of this fine establishment, Mr. Karasu. Impress him and you can make a comfortable living without ever setting foot inside the ring. Now that's worth noting. A place like this must rake it in. I'd be foolish not to try and get in on something like this. Make a living? How? What kind of business does he run? Forget I said anything. Let's just make a silly bet between friends, okay? Who do you think will win this next match? Macho Man or the little Jap? With both fighters for the next match already in center stage, I could clearly tell who Marcus was referring to. Before us were two men in their 30s, one in blue trunks and one in red. In blue was a Caucasian male. From my position he appeared to be at least 6 foot tall, with a shoulder width to match his impressive stature. His opponent seemed to be a head shorter, a Japanese man with a slim build, probably a martial artist of some variety. I'm sure they're both professionals given their presence here, but if I'm asked to choose the victor, I'd say, ooh, that's a tough choice. Do we want to go with the little guy that might be like a super awesome martial artist and will kick the crap out of somebody? Or realistically, the big freaking 6 foot tall Dolph Lundgren brute? I mean, Jet Li versus Dolph Lundgren? Realistically, if Dolph punches Jet's not going to get back up again. So I'm going to go with the big guy. I know I should probably choose the Japanese guy, but I'm going to go with Macho Man. I'll take Macho Man. I'd rather not make bets with Marcus, but I guess it can't hurt if there are any stakes. Alright, I guess the Jap is mine. With our bets having been placed, neither of us said a word as we waited for the match to begin. Even if we wanted to talk, it took enough concentration to simply observe from such a distance, let alone speak. If not for their significant difference in stature, I doubt I'd even been able to tell the fighters apart. The instant the bell rang, the outcome had already been decided. Yeah! That's right, realism! In a split second, the massive Caucasian swept his opponent's legs, sending him to the floor. He then threw his legs around the Japanese man's arm, pushing against his elbow like a lever as it threatened to snap. Ah! Ah! The Japanese man cried out in pain as his arm bent backwards at the elbow. But his screams were overpowered by the crowd, who shouted for blood, spurring on the giant he had pitted against. Ah! No more! I give! The man in blue paid no heed to his opponent's pleas for mercy. Even as the Japanese man cried out in pain, forfeiting without hesitation, the giant continued unabated, glaring at his opponent without even a hint of sympathy. Despite how overwhelmingly one-sided the fight proved to be, the crowd continued to cheer, seemingly more interested in seeing blood than a match. And so, in response to their lust for violence, the Caucasian man happily carried out his job.